Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag-off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yes, this is the Two Dumb Yinzers, episode 733. Good morning, and welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. A lot of things to talk about this week, guys. It was a great, it was an okay weekend, I guess. It just depends on which way you look at it. Good morning to John on the board, Big John Stud, middle name Mud. What's up, my man? Derpy may be in therapy, but you know what? It might have got a little bit better for him as the weekend went on. Let's just hope that's the case. Good morning to everybody. Welcome back to the show. Woo! How you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing great. I am happy. I am ecstatic. I am ready to roll, baby.
A lot of things went down over the weekend, Mike. A lot of things to talk about today. There certainly is not a lack of things to talk about, but it is Monday. It is Monday morning. Everybody's back at it. They're back at the grind. So we're going to do the same. We're going to get right into it, guys. There was a lot of sports to keep up with. Of course, the draft would be the big story of the weekend for the Steelers and abroad. Many things going on. There was some UFL football to talk about today. Also, there's some Pittsburgh passion. The gals, the ladies, they travel down to Tampa Bay to get back at it. We'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds take another loss, Mike. The Pirates doing what the Pirates do. The Penguins, even some big news this morning. We'll talk about that as well, guys. But overall, today is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to talk Steelers. We're going to talk draft. We're going to talk new players, our Christmas presents, if you will. Did we like our gifts that we got this year? We're going to grade them. We're going to talk about the drafts. Draft picks. We're going to talk about the undrafted free agent signings, post draft. A lot of stuff going on today, guys. So do hang around, and we're going to talk a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers. It was nice to see John. I seen John the other night. He popped up over on the other show, which is it's changed. They made an announcement, like the two cranky jagoffs are now the three cranky goobers or something like that. I don't know. What are they called? The three gooners?
The three gooners, I think, is what they are now calling themselves.
And what does this even mean? What is a gooner, Mike?
Gooner. Oh, hold on. I'm going to pull up the definition of it because it is great.
Yeah. So they're no longer the two cranky jagoffs.
Yes.
They're the three gooners, which I think has something to do with some kind of perverted sexual move or something like this. But Mike will pull this up so we can find out for sure before we do get started. Again, lots and lots of things we're going to talk about today. What do you got, Mike?
I got this is according to Urban Dictionary. One who is completely and miserably addicted to porn, but embraces and loves it. Here we go. We got another definition: a male who watches porn all day long while masturbating. People who, it's also you jerk off until you're about to come, then you stop, and then you go back to it. You're gooning.
Yeah.
Gooning. Back in my day, we used to call that edging.
Yeah, it was edging.
Now it's gooners.
And you know what? It's like these people, a lot of times they come up with these ideas that were already ideas and they give it a new name. And it's like, bro, you just literally named something that's been around forever. Yeah. I mean, it was edging, as you said, forever. And now it's gooning, apparently.
Yes.
And people like to goon.
People like to goon.
A few things before we do get started today, Mike. We have I sent you a message the other day I think I sent you the picture, but there is a house, a mansion
Yes.
in Pittsburgh for sale. It's a $4 million mansion. And inside the mansion, in some places, it's the Bat office, like inside the Bat cave.
Yeah.
Like it's replicated to look like the Bat cave. And Mike, I kid you not, there is a Shakespeare bust that when you take the bust and you move it, the bookshelf moves, and there is a passageway that you can walk behind the bookshelf, just like in a real Batman cave and how it would be. Like $4 million. This bathroom has 14 bathrooms, 10 bedrooms, a saltwater swimming pool, a realistic Bat cave office, and apparently this mansion for sale, it's in the Pittsburgh area, $4 million, was actually used during the making of the Batman, the one that they did, whatever, Night Rising or whatever it was, but it was actually used in that particular movie. It looked like a sweet house, man. $4 million. Can you imagine $4 million for a home?
That's insane. I you know what? I think I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna go and put the down payment on it. I'm gonna, we'll do the show from the Batcave.
It says like has like the red phone. I don't even remember what that means. It's probably the phone in the Bat cave.
It was the Bat phone from like the original TV show, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has like that. It has the red phone. As I said, a Shakespeare bust where you could pull it back and the wall moves. A whole thing. You know what? Of course I'm never gonna buy this, but I would love just to be able to walk through this place and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah. I'd love to go check. We should go, go act like potential buyers. Let's go check it out.
We should do a Yinzer special.
Yeah.
From the Batman Castle. Yeah, like they would let us in that place. Come on, $4 million.
Whew, that's insane.
One other thing, Mike, here in Pittsburgh, coming up in July. If you're into Nas, remember the rapper Nas, New York rapper?
Yeah.
And Nas is teaming up with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra to do a symphony orchestra thing that they do. Apparently, Nas is going to be in there and involved. So in July, the end of July, if you like Nas and you like symphony orchestra,
symphony
all together. No, that's not how I say it. And you put it all together and you get to go check this out downtown Pittsburgh. I don't know. I just thought that it was an interesting story, Mike. So for all those Nas lovers, I didn't even know Nas was still alive. I thought he died with the Biggie and Tupac feud, but you know what? He's still here and he'll be in town at the end of July.
That's kind of cool. We should check that out.
Yeah, I'll be good on that. I'll go check out the mansion. You go check out the Nas show, and then
we'll report back.
We'll compare notes. Caleb, what's up? Caleb says Derpy is wanted by the U.S. government for the event that took place in Oklahoma City in 1995. Well, if he hates the world like he expressed himself the other day, it wouldn't surprise me.
It would not at all.
But you know what? It got better for Derpy because not only did we get a quarterback, which he was freaking out about, we got an Ohio State quarterback, which I would think, I haven't talked to him personally since then, but I would think that he's probably doing a lot better today after getting his quarterback, because you know how he is. If you get an Ohio State player, it doesn't matter how good they are.
No,
he's a board. So we got a couple of them in the draft. We'll get into that more here shortly, guys. I do want to say good morning to Richard, John, Caleb, everybody on the board. Good morning. Welcome back. It's a whole new week. It's a whole new day. It's a whole new something, guys. Richard says Derpy is a Cleveland fan now. You know what?
Probably.
If we wouldn't have got Will Howard, he might have been a Cleveland fan.
We got two Ohio State guys, so Derpy's back on board. He just barely back on board. There are reports that the Cleveland Browns are going to sign a water boy from Ohio State, so that might tip Derpy back over.
Mark Malone says, man, we got Will Howard and Caleb Johnson. Mark Malone's happy on the board this morning, I see. Maybe Mike will put up a poll. Maybe Mike or Caleb or somebody could put up a poll asking, what do they grade? What do you grade this year's draft, guys? Maybe just put an A, B, C, or D, like school grades. Let people put how they feel about the overall draft this year. I don't hate it. One thing that I do hate, Mike, that my crystal ball is wrong. And that's a problem, because my crystal ball should never be wrong. And when I look into it and it tells me Jackson Dart, we should be getting Jackson Dart. So I have to work on my crystal ball. It was not accurate last week, and I'm not happy about that. But nonetheless, guys, the draft did happen, and I can't say that I'm upset. Now looking back, hindsight 2020, I'm not as upset that I was over the weekend at a certain point. But you know what this draft was? There's nobody in this draft that you're going to run to the store and buy their jersey. And I think that's why people are a little bored by these kind of drafts. However, these kind of drafts are 100% necessary because you just don't build a team without these kind of drafts. You'd love to have the sexy pick. You'd love to have the receiver, the quarterback, the whatever. But at the end of the day, these drafts are the ones that win you the championships because these are the building blocks that you put those things on top of. If you bring in all your receivers and quarterbacks with no linemen and no this and that, you don't have much of a team. So right now, Mike made a good point the other day when he was talking to Derpy, and Derpy was just freaking out. And Mike says, you know what, dude? You just keep building, and you keep building, and you keep building. And when your quarterback comes along and you get him, you're going to be set and ready to win football games. The way that we had a pretty damn good team when Ben Roethlisberger stepped in, when Tommy Maddox went down, Ben was able to come in together with a good team. A season later, ends up in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to be in the Super Bowl next season, but I'm saying, these drafts are 100% necessary. As Richard's saying on the board, it's a very Steeler draft. No two ways about it. But at the end of the day, it was an A. As Mark's saying on the board, he gives it an A. There's a poll up on the board. Put your thoughts, your grades. But my opinion, guys, looking back hindsight, this was an A for quite a few reasons. We will get into those reasons in just a second. Also, Mike, later on in the show, we're going to talk about the catastrophe that was the Deion Sanders primetime Shador Sanders party this weekend for the draft. We're going to get into some of the reasons that people said that things went the way that they did for Shador Sanders in the draft this year. So a lot of things to talk about, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Mike, I was kind of derpy to be around, but I know he's busy on Mondays.
Yeah.
I would have liked to talk to him a little bit. We'll catch up with him tomorrow. But let me give you some specs here. All right, Will Howard. Now, these picks, Mike, I'm generally not a huge fan of. These guys, I'm going to compare him to J.J. McCarthy for a moment and just say these kind of quarterbacks that win the national championship. And at the end of the day, nobody really wants the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Those picks scare me. And at the end of the day, I wish I would have seen J.J. McCarthy play out last year to kind of follow how he went. But I think it's a similar situation. Whether we expect him to someday be our future quarterback, whether we expect him to do whatever, it's going to be interesting. Mike, size-wise, Will Howard is 6'4", 238 pounds. Big Ben, 6'5", 241. So you're not going to have any of the issues of looking over the line and not being able to see past the linemen's heads like Russell Wilson did, standing just slightly smaller than Ben Roethlisberger. That's a good sign. If you like those big guys, and hopefully he's tough to take down with that size. But, Mike, again, I see some things, and people are always going to come back and they're going to answer me this. They're going to say, well, didn't he just win a national championship? Yes, he did. So let's just put that aside right now. There was a play that I seen in particular against Oregon when Ohio State lost to them during the season last year. And it was a brain fart of a play where Will Howard decided to run the ball when time was running out, literally under 4 seconds, and he slid. He didn't have any timeouts or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So, that's the one thing. Ask me what I know about Will Howard. That's what I know. Yeah. I don't know much else. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I can't say I watched any of their games, to be honest. But the one thing that I do recall was this dumb brain fart of a play that was on the last play of the game as time ran out, and they lost. They ultimately lost this football game. So, if you're looking for reasons to be concerned, you're going to find that those are the reasons, little things like this. And we're going to learn a lot about Will Howard, hopefully at some point, probably in preseason more than anything. We're going to get a chance to watch him play in the Steeler uniform, see him playing against potential guys that are going to be in the NFL, in preseason, Mike. So I look forward to that, as well as seeing the rest of our draft picks. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you the rundown right now, Mike. I'm going to give you the rundown of the Pittsburgh Steelers draft, and then we'll get into it. All right? All right, Mike. So with the first pick of the 2025 draft, of course, everybody knows that the Steelers took Derek Harmon Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Mike, Derek Harmon will be wearing number 99. It is confirmed. Number 99, old Levon Kirkland, old Brett Kiesel is being taken by Derek Harmon. And then, of course, we didn't have a number 2 pick because of the DK Metcalf trade. So we'll jump to round 3. And a lot of people said we needed a running back. We needed somebody to go side by side with Jaylen Warren. So what's the Steelers do? They go out and they get a guy who basically wore a Steeler uniform through his college career, Caleb Johnson, the running back out of Iowa. I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. As a matter of fact, I'm hearing he puts you a lot in mind of Le'Veon Bell out of college. So that could always be a good thing. It can't be a bad thing on the field, at least. 4th round, they get Derpy's boy, Jack Sawyer. I think he's a little undersized, this linebacker out of Ohio State, but he seems to be a playmaker. He seems to be one of these guys whose hearts are bigger than his physique. This linebacker we brought in for depth, of course. Round number 5, the Steelers take Yaha Black and Yala. This was the 4th pick, Michael, in the 5th round, of course, by the team. And again, we're building depth. And if anything, this draft was to build depth, and they certainly did do that.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, Mike, we might be in a good position, which we are on the countdown to the draft in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Maybe we could get our guy next year as far as our elite quarterback of the future. But again, until you find that guy, and I'm not quite sure that Will Howard is him. And if he's not, we still put all those other pieces into place to hopefully continue to build. So let's see. Round number 6, 5 was Black and Yaha. Round number 6 is Will Howard. Of course, we've been talking about. The first pick in round 7, because there was a trade back, Carson Bruner, the son of Steelers tight end, former tight end, of course, Mark Bruner. And one interesting note about Carson and Mark Bruner, Mike, the last time that somebody in their bloodline was drafted into the NFL, which would be Mark, the father, he didn't take, but the Steelers did go to the Super Bowl the year that he was a rookie. So just want to throw that out there.
Just saying.
Just want to throw it out there. When Mark Bruner was a rookie, the same year Cordell Stewart was a rookie. And back in 1995, the Steelers did, in fact, go to the Super Bowl. So maybe, just maybe, we could get a little bit at the rub off of Carson Bruner, who we did bring in the 7th round. And then finally, the last pick of the draft for the Steelers, we got Dante Kent, a cornerback from Western Michigan, another depth piece. And then guys, we got our undrafted free agents signed. We got 7 of them. We'll go over that in just a moment, Mike. But let me get to the board. Let me get back to you. While I'm catching up on the board, Mike, where does this draft class fall for you grade-wise? Just like over on the poll, A, B, C, D, F. How do you feel that the Steelers fared, Mike? What's your thoughts?
Right now, I'm gonna give it a solid B+. It's just a solid B+. There's a huge fan of the Derek Harmon pick. I had him mocked like 2 or 3 times to us, or him or Walter Nolan. So I was happy we got Derek Harmon. I like Caleb Johnson in round 3. I thought that was a good pick. Will Howard, he's going to be a great backup, bottom tier starting quarterback in the NFL, kind of like Mason Rudolph. He's not going to be the franchise guy here, but I think he can do some things, some positive things here. I wouldn't be surprised, if later in the year, if Mason isn't doing well, Will Howard comes in and gets some playing time to see maybe if they think he has the potential to be the guy. But I think he's going to be the key backup to our franchise quarterback who we get next year, like that pick. Black and Yaya. I
got to tell you, there's nobody I like better by their name. There's nobody I like better by name than Yaha Black.
Yeah, I love the name. Great name. I love the position, but the player, I wasn't a big fan of him. He's a big guy, but he's not real athletic. But if he can go in there and just be a monster space eater, because we just released Montravius Adams before we came onto the show, so if he can just be that space eater on the nose, and that allows him or excuse me, allows Benton and Harmon to bounce around and Cam Hayward to bounce around, good pick then. But I'm not ecstatic about that one. The other ones, Jack Sawyer, I'm not sold on. I don't think he's athletic as well, but I think he'll be a nice run stopping edge and has the ability to get to the quarterback, but he's going to have to build a better pass rush resume there. And the other guys, Carson Bruner and Dante, they're going to be special teamers. I think that's all they're going to be, but you need those guys. And so I'm okay with them. I think this is a solid B+ class, potential A class.
All right, I'm good. Mike, let me catch up on some of these messages. Yeah. I do want to say good morning to everybody. Welcome back. If I'm, we have a lot of stuff to go over.
A lot to go over.
Let me try to find where we were. All right, I'm going to go right here. Back where Richard said, prime hype. Yes, absolutely prime hype. Does Derpy have another job? Caleb asks. I seen Derpy was later in the messages, so I won't answer that just yet. Mark Malone says, I'd rather have Howard in the 6th than Show in the 7th.
Oh,
second,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Big time.
Caleb says, can we visit Derpy's McDonald's drive-thru lane during next year's NFL draft?
I hate everything.
Derpy is with his parole officer today, Richard says. Mark says, I do prefer the quarterback able to throw down the middle of the field. No need to castrate yourself before the game even starts. Look at Will Howard's last games, the playoffs, and Natty. And that's what everybody's always going to say. It's always going to come back to that. But again, Tim Tebow was considered the best college quarterback to ever play. It doesn't always translate over. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm not even saying that I'm just saying we got to be cautious about that.
Yeah.
Derpy says, I'll be back tomorrow. Sorry, fellas. I'm out with my sister. She's treating me over to some Olive Garden. I can say to everyone, I do not hate everything after the rest of this. Of course you don't, Derpy. Of course you don't. With the Ohio State members. You know what? There it is. We've been champion chasing. As long as Georgia was winning the champion. I mean, how many Georgia players do we draft this year? Exactly.
Draft any.
Exactly. We were getting really friendly. I think two or three picks over the past couple seasons from Georgia. They stopped winning the championship. The Steelers followed the trophy to Ohio State, grabbed a couple guys from there. Just interesting. It was just an observation that I made. Also, Caleb says that Derpy, were you on Oklahoma City in 1995?
Oh,
I'm sure Derpy wasn't even born till after that. He was actually in 1996, if I'm not mistaken.
He's saying no, but I disagree.
Yeah. Chirp free zone today. It's a chirp free zone. Says Richard on the board. The government has some questions for Derptron 9000. Richard says, really, this draft class, love Johnson as the running back pickup. Love some of the defensive lineman pickup. He likes this class. Corey, what's up, brother? He says, let's go. He's excited for Will Howard. He moves like Josh Allen and has the chip on his shoulder like Brady. Boy, if that comes out to be true, if he's a nice mix between Brady and Allen, I'll be very happy. And I don't think there will be people that won't be. Mark Malone says, crap, I didn't know we released the full Monty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's gone as of this morning. John says Derpy gets paid stud fees. Only from the midgets. Mark Malone says. Back to John. Phil, what's up, brother? What's up, Psycho Steelers? He says, let's get ready for the standard in 2025. 9-8, baby. What's up, Phil to Steel? Nice seeing you, my friend, on the board. As always, had a long time no see. And Mark Malone says he's well known amongst the little people.
Derpy and his midgets.
So let's get back into this, everybody. Let me jump down to our undrafted free agent list, Mike. We did sign 7 different guys after the draft was over. Sebastian Castro, a safety from Iowa.
Yeah.
JJ Galbraith from tight end, another tight end,
baby,
because we needed that from South Dakota. He's got to be good if he's from South Dakota, right?
Gotta be.
Rock Taylor is a guy that will be working and seeing if he could fit in our wide receiver room. Rock Taylor, from wide receiver from Memphis. I have always liked guys named Rock.
I was about to say, anyone named Rock I'm going to root for that guy, and he better be a hard-nosed wide receiver with the name Rock Taylor. Yeah, you better be out there like a little Heinz Ward blocking people like crazy.
DJ Thomas Jones, a fullback from South Alabama.
Yep.
Aiden Williams, a guard from Michigan Duluth. And also, yeah, good.
Oh, no. I was looking at the list too. I got lost too.
Keyshawn Williams, a wide receiver from Indiana. And finally, Ben Sauls. Ben Sauls, somebody's going to be really happy with him one day. Yeah. I don't know if we're quite in the position to be happy with him yet. But Ben Sauls is a very, very good kicker out of Pitt. He was knocking down record kicks all season. Probably one of the only big points for Pitt this year. He does go to the Steelers. But you know what? I don't know if that it concerns me that much because I noticed over in Baltimore, Mike, they also bring in a kicker to compete with Justin Tucker. I just don't know what the idea of what the Steelers are thinking. I hope to see Chris Boswell here for at least 5 more years. And can you keep a kicker on ice, Mike? Like say you bring in a guy that you like. Could you put him on the practice squad? Is there anything that you could do with the Ben Sauls to keep him around just in case?
You can put him on the practice squad, but the danger is, any team could come up and pluck him as needed. Yeah. So, and the Steelers are always like to have 2 kickers, 2 punters at training camp. So he'll be here all through the entire process. I wouldn't surprise him if they'll try and sneak him on to the practice squad. But if a team does need a kicker, I could see them snagging him up. But so don't be surprised, like if at the end of training camp he's cut, because I think they'll end up cutting him because even if they try and put him on the practice squad, another team will claim him either way. And at least the way if he gets cut, he can refuse to go somewhere and just wait and pick a spot. And maybe if the worst thing happens, Boz does get hurt. He's a street free agent. We're familiar with him, and you grab him. But no, I have no problems bringing him in as an undrafted rookie free agent. That's a smart move. See what he got. See what he has.
Like I said, as long as we're able to keep him on ice, because this is a guy that, like I said, if Boz something happens, let's just say an injury, as Corey's saying on the board, let's just say, or whatever the situation may be, maybe we get to a point in the season where the great Chris Boswell, we get to a certain point where he misses like 5. 3 in a row, maybe. And we start to get a little concerned. And then he shanks an extra point. And then we say, hey, you know what? Let's get somebody else kicking the ball at least. For one, to either motivate Boz to get it right, or 2, to get somebody in there who's going to kick the ball through the upright. So I like having a guy like him. Again, Ben Sauls, if you haven't followed Pitt, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. This dude is he's a south foot. He could kick a mile. He can really kick a mile, and he's very accurate. Let me try to get some here on the board. Yinzer Joe, what's up, brother? Good morning to you. Good afternoon, I guess I should say. He says, one happy Yinzer right here. Corey Beaver says, I don't like the edge pick. That can't be good for TJ. I just think that, the edge pick isn't going to be the starter anytime soon. As long as TJ's here, TJ's going to be TJ. And, I think adding depth isn't a bad thing. I think because Jeremiah Moon was left, and he was basically that guy up to this season. And guys like that, and Golden the year before. So you got to make depth. Richard said, okay, the Ravens they drafted their kicker. Corey went on to say, after what happened to our punter, it was a smart move. John Tucker would be missing games on the Watson plan. Boz isn't showing signs of regressing. No 2 ways about it. Also, Yinzer Joe says, what happened to Johnson? Is Waitman still on the roster? Why would you bring in another? The Johnson, I heard he's back and he's kicking the ball really well. Yeah. He's been working out his leg and he's booming the ball. I expect Johnson to be back this year. And then John says, just don't make Boz ever QB sneak again, please. Yeah. Please.
Don't ever do that.
Mark says they needed to add to the rotation.
Yeah, we still have Cars, Waitman, and Johnson to punting. So just in case his rehab doesn't go well, we got Carlos Waitman right there, and he was a revelation last year. He might have been our best player in some games.
Also, I do want to say the mother, and most people know this, but I just want to bring it up, the mother of our number 1 draft pick, number 99, Derek Harmon, the defensive lineman. His mother did pass away after she found out that he got drafted to the Steelers. shortly after she did pass away. She was sick. So, all the prayers and thoughts out to the family of the new number 1 pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek Harmon's mother passed away. Terrible to hear. You hate to see that, but wish him all the luck and hope he gets in here and makes an amazing career for his mom.
Hell yeah.
Tortilla, what's up, brother? Nice seeing you as always. Guys, I just want to talk about a couple things about the draft. Of course, we are on the countdown. This time next year, the draft in Pittsburgh will be over. Get this, Mike, a couple numbers that I got from the Green Bay draft. At one point in the parking lot alone, there was 125,000 people, okay?
Oof.
In the parking lot alone. Mike, the population of Green Bay is 107,000.
That's insane.
125 people in the parking lot. The whole entire population of Green Bay, 107,000, 125,000 people in the lot.
No. I am glad I do not live in downtown Pittsburgh.
Also,
No.
they
That's
said
gonna be
205,000 people on the first night, which would be the peak of the attendance. 205,000 people. But Mike, you got to be encouraged because people were renting their driveways out. I got pictures in Green Bay of people renting their driveways out for $100 to park your car. That's right, Mike. If you park your car in somebody's parking lot, you got to give them $100 in their, in their driveway. You're going to make a killing with all these people staying over in your room with you.
I'm going to be making bank. I'll be making so much money next year that you guys will never see me again. Just be the dummy.
It'll be you and these 6 people on the board that's going to be staying with you in your room, in your house for the draft this year. But Mike, those are some crazy numbers.
It's a lot of people.
Absolutely. And we'll learn more as time goes on. And I'm sure Pittsburgh is going to do very well, but I think that they're going to it's going to be tight.
Yeah.
Just by the way the city's built, it's going to be very tight.
It is too. Yeah. Because my God, you can't have a lot at the stadium because there's not a lot of space there. You got it. Having it over in Station Square, you're away from the stadium. It's going to be a weird, awkward mess next year, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
It's going to be a whole thing, because
it's
going to extend across the river, over the bridges, down to Point State Park, over to the North Shore. I mean, if somebody doesn't fall into the river at some point during the draft next year, I'll be very surprised.
Dude, there's going to be boats all along all 3 rivers lined up around there or at the confluence. It's going to be a huge party scene. Bruce Willis got to come out of retirement for the Water Patrol or the Boat Patrol, whatever movie that was back in the day. Because they're going to need it. They're going to need it's going to be
striking point.
Yeah, striking point. Yeah. So we need Bruce Willis to make a comeback. And it's going to be nuts down there.
Oh, he's got to be out of his mind, which he is. I think he's literally out of his mind now.
Yeah.
He's going to have to be out of his mind to go downtown next year. But guys, we have a whole year to prepare, a whole year to get ready. Yinzer Joe says, I hope Harmon takes everything well. I just don't want another two-it situation. I don't.
Right? Right. You hate to say it, but it's everyone thought it when the news broke.
I didn't think it.
I did.
I'm pure of mind.
I'm an asshole. My mind was like it just lingered back.
I'm as pure as the driven snow. Richard says, beware of massage parlors. They have been the downfall of many Browns and Ravens. Corey says, I love our running back pick, but I think we should still sign Chubb for a 3-headed threat to help any quarterback that starts for us. And Richard says, the draft next year will be crazy. Absolutely, man. It's going to be a madhouse. You know what? As I said a little bit earlier, Corey, I hear that this running back is similar to the same running style as Le'Veon Bell. So, if we could see any of what Le'Veon Bell was able to leave on the field, I'd be thrilled with. And that certainly would ensure that he has a pretty good future in the NFL if he does, in fact, run the way that Le'Veon Bell ran. A couple other rumors, Mike, that have been swirling. As far as I know, Dino Tomlin is not going to be signed to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've seen this keep popping up over the weekend. Mike, Dino Tomlin going to the Steelers, and that has not yet happened, or I don't know if it's going to happen. But just to clear that rumor, Dino Tomlin, the son of Mike Tomlin, went to Boston College in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So he may end up in a league somewhere, but he's not a Steeler as of right now. I could confirm that.
I know. Like after the draft happened, everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, Dino signed with the Steelers. Dino signed with the Steelers." It's like, guys are the worst troll job ever. Everyone knew that was a joke.
Mike, the Mason Rudolph, he's not in any worry, any concern. He gets to keep number 2. Jackson Dart, not a Steeler. He was number 2 in college. Shador Sanders was a number 2. Don't have to worry about him. And even Mike, even our new running back, Caleb Johnson, also were number 2. But no worry, Mason Rudolph, our more than likely starter at this point, will be wearing number 2. But Mike, that brings a couple questions up here. There's been some speculation about Aaron Rodgers now that the draft's over. Matter of fact, Rooney comes out and says he does want to come here, end quote. Also, there was a connection with Caleb Johnson, who already knows Aaron Rodgers, and I guess they worked out, maybe possibly. Mike, and I don't want to bring this up because I don't want to talk about it anymore. But people are saying possibly as early as this week, Aaron Rodgers could be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Mike, does anything change? Because we went out and drafted a quarterback. Our quarterback room sits as of right now, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and what's the other guy? Skylar Thompson. Now, does the fact that we filled up our room, does that dictate? Does that shut the door for you on any possibilities of Aaron Rodgers coming?
No, because they always like to go for four quarterbacks into training camp, so I can still see him coming here.
And this is not 4 quarterbacks, like this is 3 quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything that comes with him. So does it add a whole dynamic? Do they say, okay, we have 3 quarterbacks, let's run it, let's do a competition or whatever we got to do, get our guy out there, or do we want to take everything that we have, put it aside, bring in the Aaron Rodgers effect, deal with that for a season, then let it go? Then next year, try to hop back in with somebody that we hope to be the quarterback of our future. Again, to me, it kind of sounds like it could be counterproductive in a way. But on the other hand, if you want to win football games this year and you feel that this guy that won 5 games in New York can do it, bring him on, right?
Yeah. And Will Howard, he's a developmental quarterback. So he wouldn't see the field unless disaster struck. And then Mason, he is your backup quarterback, emergency starter and like default starter right now. So, they bring Aaron Rodgers in, he slots into the starting role, Mason backup, and your developmental quarterback, and Skylar Thompson is going to end up being a camp arm anyway. So I'm going to be on the practice squad if he still has eligibility for that. But it really doesn't mess anything up. And I think even if we went with these 3 quarterbacks going in, Will Howard would be the number 3 quarterback, the emergency quarterback. So, you would just ride with Mason Rudolph, and then you get whatever record you get, or then you can ride with Aaron Rodgers and get whatever record you get and go into next year. And if we only win 5 games with him like you did with the Jets, guess what? Everyone says we need to tank to get a better quarterback next year. Boom. Okay. He won 5 games last year. Perfect. Win 5 games this year. Excuse me. And then we can get our guy, and we still have pieces in place ready to go, and we have our long-term backup developing as our 3rd quarterback right now. So for me, it wouldn't change anything.
I do want to update you real quick and update everybody on the poll real quick, Mike. 58% of the people that voted gave the Steelers draft an A so far to this point. 58%, 25% gave them a B, 8% gave them a C, and 8% gave them a D or an F. So don't hesitate, jump in. It's totally anonymous. Mike won't show up at your house and try to have a picnic or anything like weird like this. Put your opinion. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I will.
How was the draft for you? How did it grade out? Was it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F? Guys, it right now, as I said, Mike, 58% of the people say yay, A, and that's a big change from the way I seen people reacting on Friday after the Steelers had taken the defensive lineman in the draft. So, I think now a couple days have gone and the dust has settled and people are saying, okay, well, you know what? We got what we want. We don't have, again, that player that I'm going to run out and grab his jersey, but we got what we needed.
Yeah.
We needed a running back. We got a running back. We needed defensive line depth. We got defensive line depth. We needed even a safety late with the undrafted pick. Undrafted signing. Yeah. So a little bit of everything that they needed. They touched the wide receiver. So, everything except that quarterback position. People are going to say Will Howard. But again, there's still a lot of story to Will Howard to be told.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to, I mean, we could go out next year and let's just say, for example, let's just say somebody like that we really love comes out after their year of college next year, like Arch Manning, and we really love him, and we bring him here, and we draft him. We do what we got to do to bring him here, and then Will Howard obviously is not going to be the guy of the future in most people's eyes. But for what it is, we needed to fill our quarterback room. We have a national championship winner in our quarterback room. So for what it is, Mike, everything they did was things that they needed to touch on.
Yeah.
Continue to build to get that guy. And just hopefully, again, Mike, next year, maybe next year at the draft in Pittsburgh, we can grab our guy. We get a nice quarterback class, and we can get our guy. It seems like it's just kind of falling in place for that.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's falling in place for that to happen. So we'll continue. I mean, the next 360 days, we're going to continue to talk and figure these kind of things out, Mike. Let me jump on the board. I'll go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that Will Howard pick, the ceiling or the floor for him is backup. So if you need a backup quarterback, so that's a good pick. The ceiling for him could be, you never know. If he plays on time, he plays smart football. He's athletic enough to escape the pocket and run to get you the first down. He could potentially be, just an average starter in the NFL. If you have a good enough team around him, you can win with an average quarterback. And he showed, at least in college, when the occasion arrives and the big moments, he can rise to those moments. But can he carry that into the NFL? Those moments, yes, you have been there, but this is, magnified by 100, the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. But at least he's shown the capability that he can do it. But like you said, Tim Tebow was a national championship. Danny Warfel won a Heisman. These guys, never did anything in the pros. But Will Howard looks like a guy that he can run a pro offense and manage the offense and hopefully not do anything stupid to cost you a game. But, I don't have high hopes for him other than a solid backup. But if he surprises me, turns into a decent starter, it was a good pick. And if you get your guy next year and Will Howard still progresses, guess what? You can trade one of the two, and gain more assets to build around your team.
For sure.
So I think it was a good pick. Everyone wants a good quarterback, and sometimes a backup quarterback to come in and wins a handful of games, teams start salivating.
If you put all the best players in the league around him, he's obviously going to do good.
Oh, yeah. Any quarterback
which is what just happened to him, obviously.
Yeah.
In the draft, we found out that all these players were very, very good.
Like Ohio State had like 45 players drafted, it felt like.
Let's see. I'm going to start right here. Corey says, damn, his own dad didn't draft him. His own dad didn't think he was good enough. Shit. Also, Caleb says, this sounds like a sign I need to amber ales this evening.
Drink up, my friend.
Corey says, Mason can teach Howard poise and AR can teach technique and how to read defenses. I think having AR and Mason can be a balanced room, QB room. Mark Malone says, he thinks we're going to win at least 12 this year. 12, Mike. Do you think with what we gained over the weekend, that's going to bump us up to 12 wins?
I don't know. I had us at 11, but I really liked what Baltimore did.
All right. Richard says, don't ever call it a competition because Tomlin would automatically give it to Aaron Rodgers no matter what if Aaron couldn't throw. If I agree. Look what we just did last year. So, I mean, I agree with that 100%. They went with a name rather than talent because the guy that I seen come back and take the position after his injury had a hard time seeing over the line and many other problems. So, just makes you wonder what they look at sometime. Mark Malone, thank God they didn't draft Bus Sanders. I'm about to get into him shortly. Tortilla said the amount of people who were mad about us drafting Caleb Johnson was insane. Caleb is going to be a great running back for us. I sure hope you're right, man. I like this pick. And again, these guys from Ohio or from Iowa, they've already donned the Steelers uniforms basically in their college careers, so they can make that transition pretty easy. Mark Malone says the fucker sees it and lets it rip. Also, hey Jen, good afternoon to you
Jen?
on the board. So, Mike, this kind of leads me to what I was going to say next here. Jen, don't forget to vote on the board. Let us know what you thought. And anybody else that's joining in, Vote on the board. Let us know how you grade the 2025 draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The poll is up in the live chat. Guys, Colin Coward, Mike. A lot of time we quote what he has said. Get this, not that long ago, Colin Coward said the Steelers, they just need to trade GP and TJ Watt to trade up to number 1 and get Shedeur Sanders. Mike, Colin Coward, has this guy just entirely lost his mind? Or are we able to say this now because the time has gone and went and we see how things went? Mike, Colin Coward, somebody pays this person to give his opinion.
Colin Coward once said Josh Rosen was the truth, was the answer, that Lamar Jackson was going to be a bust. Colin Coward just says the wildest, insane takes that there are to gain traction, to gain viewership, to gain clicks. He goes after certain teams because he knows those fan bases, i.e. the Steelers fans, will respond and interact. So that's all he does. He says all this stupid shit. Because I remember when that came out, he was like, oh yeah, if you think he's your guy, you do all these trades to get him, which is stupid. This guy's an idiot. I don't think he's ever had any good sports take in his life. He's more wrong than I am half the time. And I'm wrong a whole hell of a lot. This guy is just babbles on incoherently and just hot take after hot take and just moves on without any consequences.
I'm sorry. Yinzer Joe says, I like Will Howard pick. He could be a sneaky option in later years, possibly start over Rudolph. At least he has been in championship game and won. Tim Tebow won 2 in a row and was considered the best college quarterback ever, though. So, I mean, it's a big jump. Again, I'm not being negative. I'm not. I'm excited. I'm happy. I graded these guys well on the poll. So I think it's going to be good, guys. Jen says he's an idiot. Colin dumbass. Talking about Colin Coward, of course. Corey Beaver says he just hates the Steelers and wants to see us fail. He's been shitting on us ever since Ben got accused of great. Yeah, I agree. Guys, let's talk a little bit about this Shedeur Sanders. Again, this was the storyline of the 2025 draft. You're never going to be able to talk about the 2025 draft without talking about Shedeur Sanders. Mike, some things about Shedeur that happened over the past week. Apparently, this room. Did you see the room that he had built for him at the draft?
Yeah.
There was a room that basically now I'm finding out ended up costing it cost more than his rookie contract that he'll be earning, of course, being drafted very, very late in the draft. Unexpected this. I mean, he was considered at one point a top 3, then a top 5, then a top 7. Mike, now I don't know if he's going to be able to afford his special room that he had built for him at the draft. A few things about Shedeur Sanders' weekend, Mike. He goes in. So what I'm finding out is this. Everyone's saying, what the hell? How the hell could his meetings have gone so bad to drop him from a possible number 1 overall pick to possibly not even being drafted? I mean, it was insane what was going on, Mike. So this is some of the things that I did see from notes from meetings. Some of the words they used were entitlement, his attitude, cockiness, telling that he will do things his way and making it better to make things better. Also goes on to say that his interviews were were circus-like. The worst formal interview I've ever seen, said by a source. At one point, Mike, I thought that he was going to have to go back to Colorado and ask if he could have his number back that was just retired.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, listen, one day you could possibly be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And the next day, it looked like you weren't even going to make it. And his teams passed and passed and passed. I thought, is this guy even going to make it, Mike? Almost like the movie Friday. Remember when he went back and Red went over to Debo and he says, man, Pop's tripping, man. He wants me to ask for my bike back. That would be Shedeur going back to Colorado. Man, Pop's tripping, man. I need to ask for my number back. Could you imagine? Can you imagine if he didn't get drafted this year? And then if he didn't get drafted, I mean, then he'd have to worry about somebody signing him.
Yeah.
But he did. He went late. So I guess going to the Cleveland Browns could be the best possible thing that could ever happen to us. I got to be honest with you. This circus that they have going in Cleveland, Mike.
Oh, my God.
This quarterback room. What do they got? They have Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett,
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel,
Uh-huh.
rookie, Shador Sanders, and Watson.
Yeah.
They traded out of position to get Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Mike, this got to be one of the dumbest drafts I've ever seen by Cleveland, and they've done a lot. But listen to this, Mike, five quarterbacks right now on the roster. You know that jersey they show with all those Cleveland Browns names?
Yeah.
They need a whole new jersey for this quarterback room. Like, they have 5 guys right now. And again, that ongoing joke of all those quarterbacks that came and went and just haven't got it done. Mike, do you just add this list on and just say, you know what, this is what the Browns do?
Yeah, go ahead. You're going to stitch on what Dylan Gabriel, because he's going to start a game this year. You have that feeling. Stitch on Kenny Pickett. You know he's going to start, and stitch on Shador Sanders because you know he's going to start. This is what Cleveland does. Their draft was the dumbest draft I've seen. I like some of the players they got, but the move that they made, you trade out of getting arguably a generational talent. You could have got him. You could have got his teammate in the 5th round. That those two showed some chemistry, a little forethought there on their end if this is what they wanted to do. But my God, that Cleveland draft class was terrible. Shador falling everywhere. He made more money off his NIL deal last year than he will on his entire NFL rookie contract.
Ain't that insane?
He made $6.5 million on NIL, and he's going to make.
But he got his number retired, Mike. He got his number retired.
You know what? If I'm Shador, I'm looking at my bank account and I'm like, life is good.
Yeah,
life is good. I got a nice little. I got a nice little back.
I got a nice little back. Think of the other things in life that are important, like your legacy and things like this. And
legacy don't pay the bills.
But you know what? In sports, it does. So it just, you don't want your career to shit out and you become, shit out the bottom of a meme convention for the next 4 years of his life, which I'm sure is going to happen, Mike. But go ahead.
I was going to say, you're Dion, Shador, your dad was able to get away with his antics and theatrics because he was a generational talent. Lawrence Taylor was able to get away with his antics because he was a generational talent. Johnny Manziel was able to get rid of it because people bought into the hype of him. They thought
this is another Johnny Manziel pick, Mike.
Exactly.
Except they didn't get him at the top of the draft.
Exactly. So this is actually Cleveland learned something. They didn't listen to the homeless guy this time to take him first. The homeless guy said, "Hey man, take Shador 5th."
Mike,
I messed up on Johnny Manziel, take him in the 5th round. And it looks like the owner forced the coach and the GM to take him.
Mike, and apparently another thing that bugged people about him, listen, this isn't enough to bug you to not draft somebody, but it's a part of the whole.
Yeah.
He only listens to his own music that he created, which is fine. It's fine. That's fine. Because I know where you're going to come from. You're going to say, well, that's okay. But listen, it just adds to the list of things about the guy where you're trying to understand the character of the person that you're drafting. Yeah. He only listens to his own. Don't get me wrong. I watch our show, but for critical purposes, I get that. But it's just like I said, on the list of all those things that I mentioned earlier, Mike, self-promoting bling with his name. There's just things that people don't want to see if they're getting ready to hire you to do a job. Yeah. I don't want to see how well you wear your self-promoting bling. I want to know how you're going to prepare for a situation where I need you and I'm going to give you millions of dollars for it.
Exactly. You fake that interview process, then you sign the contract, then you be yourself. Because you already got your money.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Fake it until that ink dries on that paper, and then you cash that check, and then you be yourself. That's where he messed up. I'm all for players being themselves, but there comes a time when you got to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It sucks.
That's a smart person's thought.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean?
But it sucks. You have to play the game. But once you play the game, you get your money, and then you can do you. Because once you sign that guaranteed, you get your guaranteed signing bonus, they ain't never taking that back. So it sucks. Yeah, everyone has to do it no matter what walk of life. You more or less, you have to play the game until you get your money. Then you get your money, you get your job. Then you're like, fuck you. You're stuck with me. I'm going to be me now. He didn't play the game. He didn't have the talent to not play the game. Certain people can, be that guy and not have to play the game because they have the talent and the teams are willing to overlook it. He just wasn't talented enough to do that. if he was talented enough, teams would have overlooked that and taken him in the top 5.
Mike, a couple things I thought were funny in this whole process was how people were making jokes saying that Dion was going to throw Shiloh towards Shador's little brother in on a deal as well. If you take Shador, we'll give you Shiloh as well. Also, a few other things that were funny. Mike Prime actually said this. He says, if I'm a young quarterback, now this is pre-draft ways. He says, I'm a young quarterback. I'm not going to Cleveland. I would pull an Eli Manning. Boy, does karma have its way.
Oh, yeah.
Of working out. They took his possible number one overall son. They sent him to Cleveland in late rounds.
Yeah.
This couldn't have happened any different. Again, Mike, if he's going to be pissing around, getting on everyone's nerves, happening in Cleveland, this is the perfect place for Dion and company, in my opinion.
And like Dion's attitude probably precluded teams from, or maybe that's why the Browns traded out of Travis Hunter, because Dion treats him like a child, like one of his kids too. And were the Browns like at that point, like, do we want to get Travis Hunter and have to deal with that? So and his kind of mentally may have helped Travis Hunter. At least he's going to Jacksonville and has a good quarterback to throw him the ball and has a decent defense around him too. So that might have been a blessing in disguise right there. Dion's antics forcing Cleveland trade out of that spot. But Cleveland, man, stupid draft, and I love it.
Oh, it was the worst, and it was the
best.
But
I like the running back they got. Both running backs they got, I thought was smart. They're getting back to their 1-2 punch, but 2 quarterbacks that aren't that are more or less backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Stupid move.
2. I think they have 4 quarterbacks that are backups in the NFL.
Yeah, and like not bad backups either. They got backup quarterbacks.
5. I forgot they even have 5 quarterbacks. Mike, that could be backups at this point. None of them. It should be starting in the NFL. No. Come on, Joe Flacco. He's might be past his prime. Kenny Pickett, rookie Gabriel, or rookie Sanders, Watson. Who, come on. I mean, if he was a good quarterback, he would be playing somewhere, obviously, instead of all of this bullshit. Yeah. So, I mean, they got what a disaster. This was the worst draft, but the best draft for us as far as the Cleveland Browns go. Just more of their blundering, and it's been great. Yeah. I gotta say, it's been a lot of fun. But one more thing, Mike, I do want to say one last thing that I thoroughly liked about this weekend with the Shador Sanders situation, Mike, was when he got prank called. When somebody pranked a Ole Miss student, prank called him and told him that he got drafted. Mike, again, this just really completes the weekend as far as the Shador Sanders draft. This will be talked about for years to come. Why was it? Why did the league collude? Why did nobody want? How did he go from the number 1 pick to almost Mike being Mr. Irrelevant and almost being the last pick? Obviously a ways to go, but still, Mike, the phone call, in my opinion, I thought was hilarious. NFL has to do a better job to stop things like this.
Exactly. It happened 3 times.
But Mike, does this ever happen ever before? The fact that it happened 3 times in this draft, I don't know if this is a problem yet, but it's definitely got to be something the NFL has to, work on and weed this out.
They have to, because it happened last year to Cooper DeJean, then it happened this year to Shador, Tyler Warren, and I think someone else. And these phones are given out by the NFL.
Yeah,
they're given, and all the teams have the info. And why are they leaking it to their kids to pull shit like this? Is this like a team getting back at a player for the way they acted? Like you're lowering yourself to a 24-year-old kid here. Like, don't. It's stupid. Funny, yes, because it didn't happen to me. But you're kind of fucking with someone's emotions, and they got thinking they're going to make millions of dollars because they're getting drafted right here, and you're fucking with them. That's kind of a dick move. And like the NFL is going to do a better job of cracking down on this and making sure there aren't no leaks to these phone numbers. It's not, but it's like it. Last year went from 1, this year to 2, and it's going to keep multiplying and keep happening.
Oh, poor kids. I'm sure they're going to have a great life. They'll be fine. Let me move on, Mike. I'm going to go to
kids. That's right. That's my mantra.
Yinzer Joe says, do you remember what Tebow did to us? I mean, considering literally we were the only team he ever did that to. And then he got forced out of his position, then forced out of the league. I don't know how much stock I want to put into that game, but I do remember. Absolutely. Mark Malone, Tebow was a running quarterback, though. Hell, didn't he play tight end too? They wanted him to be a tight end.
He attempted. He lasted like 2 weeks, and Jacksonville was like, "You're out."
Tortilla says, "Didn't he once say we're good? LeBron, we have Ben Simmons."
Yeah, I remember that.
Dumb. Yes.
Yeah.
Jen says, I think he listened too much to his dad. I do too. I do too. You think his dad would have made him a smarter person for this situation. However, it seems like that was counterproductive. I always thought he was going to suck, and I believe he will. Cleveland is perfect for him. Mark's saying about Shador. I never seen anything that was great. I'm going to be honest, but that's just my opinion. Jen says, did you guys see the picture of the bald eagle I saw walking at the trails at my dad's in the Discord? So cool. And I will check that out. It sounds cool.
Oh, there it is.
Corey says, I can hear Kenny. Oh, no, not again. Yeah. Now he's on a roster with 30 quarterbacks. So, where the hell is his career going? Mark Malone, if I were Cleveland, I would draft 7 quarterbacks a year. You know what? I was thinking that when this was going down. Like, I thought
Me too.
I thought Cleveland was taking the Mark Malone draft approach.
Yes.
They have 53 quarterbacks.
Yes.
Now they got to start working on other players.
That was literally my thought as well when I saw Shador got taken again by Cleveland. Like, are they watching the show? Is Mark Malone secretly working for the Cleveland Browns?
I can see another GM being fired from Cleveland if this all fails, and I'm sure that it will. That's injured Joe. Just fill out the rest of the roster with free agents, Mark Malone says. Tortilla says Johnny won the Heisman, though it's hard to pass up. Absolutely, but you know what? How many Heismans have gone and shitted out in the pros? Thinking back to when I was a kid, like a lot of these guys, these quarterbacks, a guy from Florida, Danny Werfel. Remember him, Danny Werfel?
That's always my answer when people say, "Well, this guy won a Heisman." So did Danny Werfel.
Even Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush,
he had a decent career, but again, at the end of the day, you want more from your players. You want somebody who Tortilla also says Shador never had to do an interview for a job before. Well, I mean, on one hand, that may be the case, but on the other hand, you have to still act like a human being. If you don't know how to go in and conduct yourself for a formal interview of someone who's willing to pay you millions and millions and millions of dollars, maybe you don't deserve the money. I don't know.
Especially having a dad who was in the league for as long as he was.
That should have certainly helped your cause.
This is what you got to do to get your money. Just play their game that they want you to play, get your money, and then be you.
He goes on to say, "You're not supposed to look like an ass in front of your future boss." I would think this is common sense.
All I can picture is if anyone remembers Step Brothers when they show up to their interviews and wearing tuxedos, acting like total jackasses. That's all I'm picturing.
I'm seeing it, but like in a whole different. We'll talk more about that, guys. How that probably played out. We'll get more into that as the week goes on. But Jen says, I drove through Green Bay on Friday night about 5 p.m. and there was no traffic. I was worried there was going to be a bad turnout, but they were just late. Yes, there was no lack of people in Green Bay, Wisconsin this past weekend. Yinzer Joe says, so does Jameis Winston. Where's his team trend? You know what? Train end. I'm sorry. You know what's funny about him, though, too? He, along with Russell Wilson, goes to New York. Mike said, now they have quite a quarterback room going on.
They have
Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Danny DeVito.
Right?
I mean, all right.
That's not bad for that. Like, Dart does need time to develop. So you let Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston be your starter. Dart would be a nice little backup, and then next year take the reins. But again, man, at least they only took one quarterback.
Yeah, right. And then here's the thing: they're going to get the same result.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just what the Giants have going for them right now.
Yeah, and they have that they added to that defense along the line with Sexy Dexy. They got him some nice teammates up there. They should be causing havoc, but if they can find a quarterback, they might be good.
Speaking of Sexy Dexy, Mike, did you happen to see that the biggest player in the NFL did go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah.
Desmond Watson, 6'6", 464 pounds. Mike is the heaviest player in NFL history out of Florida University. Mike, he is going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for now, unless we have to see how his big ass moves in the pros. But he did, Mike. We talked about him a little bit the other week.
Yeah.
He is a Buccaneer. He'll be on that line with Cansey.
Yeah, I was going to say with Cansey and Vita Vea, nice guys to learn from, and he is trying to drop weight. He wants to get into actual pro football shape. Hopefully, a team gives him a chance because that guy, man, when he was running that 40, he was fucking moving.
Absolutely, man.
It was well for a big man.
Yinzer Joe says the The call came from Jeff Ulrich's son, who's a coordinator. He took his phone off his dad's laptop to prank call him. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some kind of accountability there, obviously,
Yeah.
because this isn't the high school pickings of a play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is the NFL draft, of course. Millions of dollars certainly put into the event. So there's got to be some accountability. Mark Malone says, yeah, to those Gen Z bastards. Jed says, I guess Shador should not have turned down so many interview requests. That's a great point as well.
Yeah. Don't limit your go to every team that wants to talk to you.
You ain't kidding. You know, and if anything taught him a lesson, you know what I mean? Maybe he learned the biggest lesson in his life this past weekend. You don't know. You don't know what goes on through the kid's head, but it should have humbled. It should have humbled him as a person. I don't care who you are, what color, what position. It should have been a humbling experience for anybody. I think that just went through what he went through. Hopefully, he learns as a human, and that's all you could hope for. And hope that he sucks as a quarterback in Cleveland. That would be even more what you would hope for.
He can go be good elsewhere, just not in Cleveland.
Absolutely. Mark Malone said, yeah, he was trucking at the end.
He was.
John says the Browns have 2 first-round draft picks next year and will be competing for the Steelers for a QB. You know what? That's interesting as well, because I'm sure they'll F it up next year in the first round as well.
Yeah, they'll let the next Big Ben fall to us.
Because they did it this year. They let Travis Hunter go, and then they what a draft for Cleveland. I would love to just hear the media in that town this weekend and today and through the week. They gotta be losing their minds up there.
And the thing is, though, like they added some good play, like Mason Graham. I like Quinshawn Judikins. I like the tight end. They got a good player, Dylan Sampson, the other running back. Good. You fucked up. You fucked up, Cleveland, and I love it. I love it.
Mike, also the picks. I see now. Listen. These are the grades given. These are the official grades, and I don't agree with them because I don't think you should get all A's, B's.
No.
But let me just kind of give you the grading of what the official grades were for the teams by draft. Mike, Arizona, an A-, Atlanta, a B-, Baltimore, an A, Buffalo, a B+, Carolina, a B, Chicago, B+, Cincinnati, B-, Cleveland, B+, Dallas, an A-. Denver, a B+, Detroit, a B, Green Bay, an A, Houston, an A, Indy, an A, Jacksonville, an A, KC, an A, Las Vegas, an A, and the Los Angeles Chargers, an A. Los Angeles Rams, B+, Miami, B+, Minnesota, B, New England, B+, New Orleans, B-, Giants, an A, the Jets, a B+. See, this is crazy. Philadelphia, an A, Pittsburgh, an A. They said we got an A, which I will update.
I'll take that. That's the only legitimate A
on the poll here in a second. San Francisco, a B+, Seattle, an A-, Tampa, a B+, Tennessee, an A, Washington, a B. How Cleveland is even at a B+, tells me that this is skewed. What a crappy draft for the Cleveland Browns. Yes, they did get a few nice players along the process, but what a crap draft for the Browns. In our poll, Mike, as we speak,
excuse me,
it's changing a little bit. 60% of the people that voted said this draft was an A. 20% says it's a B. 7% of the people that voted, Mike, says it's a C, and 13% say it's a D or an F. So keep the votes coming, everybody. On the board, Jen says, I was at a meeting today at work, and my teammates that went to the draft said the Steelers fans were out and about in full force. You know who the fans that get me are the ones that they show at the draft who are all decored out and decorated, and they got their face painted.
Yeah.
And that has to be such a small percentage of people, because you figure, you know, generally people dress like that on game day, but you have that small percentage of people that want to go out and act like that and be that person and be those fans, Mike, at the draft. So I'm sure they certainly stand out when you see them, because most part people are, you know, they might have their Steeler garb on, they might have their Steeler cap, whatever. But at the end of the day, these guys are going out. If you've seen these people, you know, when the Steelers are making a draft pick, the fans that are down there, they're just decked out. It looks like playoff Sunday, the way that they're dressed and ready to go.
I love it, man. That's a different breed of fan that goes to the NFL draft. Like, I love the draft. I love my team, but there's no way in hell I am going to a draft. I can't, man, because I have to interact with other fan bases.
Yeah.
Like, I get annoyed with my own fans.
I get annoyed with
my own
myself.
team's fan bases. I get annoyed because, you know, you know how it is. You know,
Yeah.
we're passionate about our team. We all want our team to be run the way we want to run it. And so, like, and then I have to deal with all the other fans. No, Like, I'm the annoying injure sometimes. I just imagine like 1,000
Sometimes.
of me. Oh, fuck off.
Tortilla says Desmond Watson, you're going to have teams scouting the biggest loser for linemen. I can't
Don't
wait to
talk
see
about
this.
Derpy that way.
You're right. I can't wait to see this guy move, man. He's got to be. I've never seen him. I've seen pictures. I've seen articles about him, but I've never seen the guy play. Hopefully, we'll see him in preseason at least for Tampa Bay and get a look at this guy. A couple other things, Mike, before we do move on. This is the first. No, let me get this first. The Pitt Panthers. They had a couple draft picks in this one, Mike. Minnesota. They took Gavin Bartholomew. They got him late. Another good set of hands over there in Minnesota. Boy, they have an abundance of good receivers and people that could haul the ball in up in Minnesota. And also, Mike, the offensive lineman Bronson Taylor went to the Chargers. So I'm sure he'll know Najee from the facility and everything. But good luck to those gentlemen, Mike. But one last thing about this before we do move on. This is the first draft since 1993. Now, you often hear us talk about the WIPIO if you're out of the area here on the show. But the WIPIO is the Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic League, which is our high school teams. The WIPIO in the Western PA area. Mike, this is the first draft since 1993 that no one from the WIPIO got drafted into the NBA or the NFL, which is crazy.
Yeah.
First time in 32 years that a WIPIO player was not in the draft. So hopefully we get back on. We start a new streak next year and start getting our guys back in there and making differences because WIPIO, Mike, they've put plenty of greats, not good. They put plenty of great players in the NFL over the years. Joe Namath, Tony Dorsett, Mike Ditka, Jim Kelly, Joe Montana, Dan Marino. The list literally goes on and on and on.
Hall of Famers from this little corner.
And that was just the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. We haven't even, mentioned Aliquippa.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame high school.
And then you go all the way back to Johnny United. I mean, it literally.
Yeah.
But this is the first year for a long time, like almost 34 years that there was nobody.
I saw that. I was crestfallen, actually. It's like, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
We had a nice string there. And like you said, man, these aren't just guys. They're the guys.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. No two ways about that. Aaron Donald being one of the later Penn Hills graduate. So we do got to move on, everybody. Unfortunately, the UFL, we'll talk a little bit of UFL, some spring football that went down over the weekend, Mike, was week 5 on Friday. Memphis, they beat Birmingham in an upset. Memphis gets their first win, Mike, 24-20 in overtime over Birmingham, puts them at 1-4. Birmingham falls to 3-2, the reigning champions. Saturday, the St. Louis Battlehawks, they beat the Michigan Panthers 32-27. Another close game. Both of those teams finished out the weekend with a 3-2 record. A lot of good football in the UFL this weekend, I got to tell you, Mike. A lot of good games.
Oh, yeah.
Even the DC Defenders taken to their limits, Mike. They improved to 4-1 against Arlington when they win 37-33. Arlington drops to 3-2, but these are both XFL in the XFL conference, Mike. So those two teams, I look for them to be battling till the very end.
Oh yeah, and the Defenders, that's the biggest come from behind victory in the league history, man. They were down by 3 scores, I think it was, and they just come storming back. Man.
The games are getting really good in the XFL or the UFL, Mike. They're starting to look like a professional league. Still a sub NFL, no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But if you like football in the weekend and it's spring, this is a lot of fun, guys. And finally, the last game of the week, Mike, was the Sunday late game. That game was won by Houston. They win 27-3 over San Antonio. Houston improves to 2-3 in the Brahmas, and San Antonio, they fall to 1-4 overall. Week 6 will continue next week. Mike, the other football in town, the soccer team, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they take a loss to Detroit City, 1-0 over the weekend. They play at home next week against North Carolina at 7:00 on Saturday. Also, Mike, also another big story for us here in Pittsburgh, at least our gals. Last week, we had a special guest, Makai Chavez, the MVP, the reigning MVP from the Pittsburgh Passion football ladies football team. They start out their season down in Tampa Bay over the weekend with a big 42-13 win over the Tampa Bay Inferno. They are 1-0, the Pittsburgh Passion. And I got to be honest with you, Mekhi Chavez didn't miss a beat. She did break a bone, as she said in the show last week, later in the season last year. But you know what? You'd never be able to tell. Still out there running circles. And I'm going to be honest with you. Pull it up. It's on YouTube. Watch the ladies, the Pittsburgh Passion versus Tampa Bay. It is on YouTube. You can pull that up at your own convenience and just watch what Mekhi Chavez does on that field. It's unbelievable. All the other people seem like little kids compared to her, just by the way she runs in circles around them. And I got to be honest, she's not the biggest person out there. So it's really fun to watch her. And the ladies of Pittsburgh, the Passion, start the season 1-0 and are favored, Mike, to go to the championship this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun following the gals in the WFA, in the Pittsburgh Passion. And finally, Mike, the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates on Friday give us something to cheer about because they have a showdown like no other. Paul Skeens versus Yamamoto. Yamamoto hasn't let up an earned run since March. Paul Skeens, the Pirates, you know how that whole thing goes.
Yep.
Like Friday, excuse me, they do get the win. They shut out the Dodgers. Paul Skeens gets the win.
Nasty.
He goes 6.1, gives up 5 hits, no earned runs, 0 walks, and has 9 strikeouts. Excuse me. And then Yamamoto, he pitched 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks he gave up, and had 5 strikeouts, Mike. But again, the first earned runs that he's given up since March for the Dodgers. Pirates win on Friday night.
I thought that was going to be like a 1-0 loss because, we never get any run support for Paul Skeens, and usually the relievers come in and choke it away. But my God, that was a damn good performance by the team all around. And Paul Skeens, he was on. He was on. His pitches were filthy. They were nasty. He made them look like a little league team out there. It was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Pirates were back at it on Saturday. Holderman gave up 3 runs. The Pirates lose 8-4. They end out optioning Holderman back down. I don't know if there was an injury. That they were saying an injury. I didn't catch it, but they put him back down. Pirates lose 8-4 on Saturday night. And then back at it on Sunday, Mike, they lose 9-2 to the Dodgers. O'Neal Cruz, the only player that seems to be playing well. He has 4 leadoff home runs in the past week and a half. O'Neal Cruz is just having he's on an amazing pace, Mike. As a matter of fact, he is on pace for 44 home runs and 69 stolen bases. He could become only the 7th 40-40 player if he continues on this on this little streak that he's on, Mike. Again, this is only month 1, basically. So you still have 5 months to keep up and get those numbers. So again, hoping the best for O'Neal Cruz. Yeah. And better he does, the better that it is for the team. So go O'Neal, man.
Exactly. And we always say that when we talk about him, when he does something stupid, like, dude, he has all the talent in the world to be one of the best. And looks like he's finally starting to put it together. And, if he can limit the mental errors, the sky's the limit for this cat. And like you said, man, that's how we make the team better. And they're showing signs. But we need him. We need Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds to all pull their weight. We can't just count on, 95-year-old Andrew McCutchen. Let the man retire in peace.
Mike, the Pirates now sit in 5th place, dead last. So you could quit blowing up their quit saying good things about them for a second. They are in last place. They are 6 games out of first place, which isn't the worst thing ever. But Mike, we do get back at it tomorrow. They have today off, and they start a series against the Cubs, who are in first place. So maybe if we're going to gain a little ground, we could do it against the Cubbies starting tomorrow at home. Mike, 6:40 start against the first place Cubs in the division. And I got to be honest with you, this road trip, it could have went a lot worse. Mike, they went 3-3 on the road. They went out to Los Angeles, played the Angels, turned around and played the Dodgers, and came home with 3-3 record. It could have been a lot worse. Usually Pittsburgh teams go out to West Coast. It's rough. They usually have a tough time. The Penguins have a tough time with the Kings. And, these teams, I don't know what that is, but the Pirates, they managed to come home with a 3-3 record after those 6 games. They'll be back at it again tomorrow after today is their day off. Mike hosting the Chicago Cubs, and I do believe they got the Padres. The Padres coming to town after that. So maybe the Buccos could they could just hang in long enough. That's all we ask for.
Well, like we always say on the show, you go on a little win streak and you look at the standings and you gain a half game. You
Yeah,
lose one and
it's tough in
you
baseball,
drop
man.
two. It feels like so they dug themselves into a hole. It's nice to see them be competitive, but for me, this season's over. But as long as O'Neal Cruz keeps playing the way he is and Paul Skeens keeps pitching the way he is, there'll be some entertainment here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean,
It's hard to get excited. Like they're not going to make the playoffs, but so now we're looking for great individual performances, man.
Everybody that comes into that organization, they just underperform. I don't get it. They go to the Yankees and they win the World Series.
Yeah.
And,
but it's nice to finally see O'Neal Cruz live up to the hype that we heard about when he was.
Or they go to Houston, who had a terrible franchise for a million years, and they go to Houston and they win World Series.
Yeah. That was what Garrett Cole.
I mean, there was a handful of them.
And Charlie Morton, who had this amazing stuff, but we never saw it in Pittsburgh. He goes down to Houston. He was all right.
He was a low ball pitcher. He was too. For what he was, he threw a lot of ground balls. People hit a lot of ground balls, and that's a good thing.
I just remember Bucco fans telling me this, what a great pitcher he was, and every time I watched Charlie Morton pitch, he got lit up. It's like, okay.
I mean, he was what he was in that rotation. That's where he belonged.
Yeah. But when he left, man, and was allowed to pitch the way he was allowed to pitch, lights out.
And I do want to say, Mike, that the Passion, they play their next game, Mike, I believe, on May 10th. So for whatever reason, this week is a off week for them, and they travel to Philadelphia. The Passion, the Pittsburgh Passion, our ladies here in Pittsburgh, football players, they go to Philadelphia to play the Philadelphia Phantoms on May 10th.
Fuck Philly. I don't care what sport it is. Fuck Philly.
Let's get a couple of these messages here, Mike, on the board. Yinzer Joe says, so if Kenny gets cut, would he be an option to return to the Steelers?
I'd take him over Skylar Thompson.
I would definitely take Skylar Thompson.
Easily.
Yeah. If you're trying to fill a room, he's a nice filler. He's a nice filler. He's not going to be winning Super Bowls. He could be in the room while you're winning Super Bowls, but it's hard to think that Kenny will pull that off. But who knows?
He'll bring that championship DNA, baby. He won that Super Bowl.
Also, Corey says that Yinzer, that would be a hilarious full circle moment, especially if Mason finally proves he's a starter, moves on, and Kenny is backing up Howard. And finally, Tortilla says, went to the A's game yesterday, saw him hit a walk-off home run in the 10th. That's always a lot of fun.
It is, too.
A lot of times, though, in Pittsburgh, the stadium's usually empty anyway because the Pirates aren't that good. But by the 10th inning, a lot of people leave. They try to beat the traffic. So in baseball, there's never usually a lot of fans there in the extra innings, which should be one of the most exciting points of the game, I would think.
I love, that extra inning walk-off home run. I remember, God, when I was at a Cleveland game, I was like, Jim Thome just came back for the White Sox, and it looked like he hit a home run, and that stadium erupted. It just, he was a longtime Indian at that point, but playing for the White Sox, and the place went nuts. They didn't care that, there's the other team, and I got caught up in the moment, and I hated both teams because you see that walk-off home run. It's just awesome. It's like a walk-off touchdown on a quick slant, game's over. Let's get it home, man.
Tim Tebow in overtime in the playoffs on the road. Ike
Taylor falling down. Troy Polamalu nowhere to be found, and Ryan Clark back in Pittsburgh.
So there you go. Mike, finally.
I'm not angry.
Finally, the other big story of the day. Montravius. No, we already talked about Montravius. Mike Sullivan, Pittsburgh Penguins head coach, has been fired. Finally, Mike, is this going to is it going to be contagious? Is the Pirates head coach maybe job in jeopardy? Dare I even say Mike Tomlin? Mike,
no.
Is this Mike Sullivan firing isolated, or is this going to start a domino effect in the Steel City?
I think this one's isolated. It's going to, from what I read, it was like what sounded like a mutual understanding of this is what we want. And he's like, this is what I want. Like, hey, it's not going to gel. So good luck, Godspeed, God bless. Overdue, I thought, for the Penguins big time. He won't change the system, won't adapt to the players that he has. He wants to, that system that won 2 back-to-back Stanley Cups wouldn't change from it. We saw, his system works, but you got to have the players for it. And our guys are aging out. We're trying to get younger, newer guys in, and he just couldn't adapt to that situation. But you know what? He might be the greatest coach in Penguin history. He has the most wins, back-to-back Stanley Cups. You know what? I'm glad he came through here, but in hockey, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. You see how fast they turn over, man.
Yeah, exactly. You see it a lot. You see a lot in hockey. Coaches, the turnover on coaches, no two ways about that. Finch, I'm not real sure, man. He's asking about a first inning in 2010. Possibly. Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick check on that.
Finch said, didn't Charlie Morton give up a 16-run inning versus the Cubs once, like the first inning, somewhere around 20? Probably. I wouldn't put it by him. Tortilla Jackson says, lucky the A's stadium is a minor league stadium. It was pretty empty as soon as Luis hit the home run. My friend was like, let's get the hell out of here. They got that Wilson. That was Jack Wilson's boys out there. Long time, great, really good all-star Pittsburgh Pirate Jack Wilson, the shortstop. His son got drafted out there either last season or the year before. So I do try to keep up with the A's a little bit at least. Mike, anything else on the Penguins?
No, look for them to suck again next year to get a really, really good first-round pick. Rebuild that team. That's what they're doing, man. They're in a rebuild, and they're gaining pieces, and it's not going to be pretty next year. I think Crosby's going to be amazing again, but look for the rest of the team outside of Raquel not to do too much.
I'd like to see finally one of these Pittsburgh teams start to say, you know what, no more 40-year-olds, no more 40-year-olds. Let's start getting guys in their 20s, like everybody else.
Well,
like all of our teams. Before the rebuttal, we have many old people here in Pittsburgh, and it might be time to move on from some of these.
Yeah, there's rumors that Carlson is on the trade block.
And he would be the one.
He would be the one.
I would expect that he would be the one. He's not an original lifer like Andrew McCutcheon and the trio. And
Letang might have to retire due to medical.
Yeah.
So we got there's two.
We're trying to bring in Aaron Rodgers, Mike. We have to get younger.
I know. Right?
No, we wonder why. We're saying the curse of Fleury.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh says Fleury down the road. No Pittsburgh team has won a playoff game since that moment.
Yeah.
They got to get younger. You can't keep putting 40-year-old men out there and expect to win championship. You just can't. You can't.
No.
You can't.
No. And my God.
But I do. Let me jump back into the poll, Mike. The poll was grade the Steelers draft.
Yeah.
So everybody that was here today was able to participate and participate in the poll, Mike. At this moment, 62% say the draft for the Steelers was an A. 19% say it was a B. 6% say it was a C, and 12% say it was a D or an F. Interesting. I mean, some of the D and Fs. I mean, don't hesitate if you want to throw some.
Yeah.
Throw up on the board what you guys think. I'd love to hear because there's no wrong answer. It's how you feel.
Yeah. And we won't know. For a few years,
and
how good the draft class is, and
that's it. We'll forget about it by then, so we can't give you a shit. So.
I'm open, man. I thought taking TJ Watt in the first round was a dumb move by the Steelers. Turned out to be a pretty good move. Thought Lawrence Timmons and Lamar Woodley in back-to-back picks was a dumbass move. They won a Super Bowl with those guys. So
Andrew Joe said the Steelers' Mike Sullivan lost his coordinator play calling job. LOL.
Yeah, I saw that he was let go too.
Yeah,
the quarterback coach. It's a bad day to be named Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh.
What's the chance? Yeah, exactly. Also, Corey says, to be fair, Aaron Rodgers has the drug-induced youth. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2Winsers.com, where unfortunately there are no drug-induced use over there. That might be a good thing. But we do have the links to all of our social media. We have our merch store. Head on over to the Discord, too. And you can see Jen has her pictures up there of her 2Winsers merch. And we got the blog over there, which later this week will be updated with talking about this draft class. But you can go back through all and see that I got 3 of our draft picks right in this mock draft. ESPN, sign me up, baby. That's all over at the2Winsers.com.
All right, guys, it's time for the question of the day. This is a draft question, not a Steelers draft question, but we're going to start wrapping up the draft questions in the trivia, Mike. Today is going to be a draft question that has something related to what we just experienced. I'll put it to you that way. So, Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, everybody at home, here we go. Question of the day is this. In the 1989 draft, which pick was Deion Sanders drafted at? Mike, this is the same draft as Tim Worley. Interesting enough. Question of the day. In the 1989 NFL draft, which pick was Deion Sanders selected at? Of course, we all just watched what went down with his son Shador. I can remember this really well, actually, for reasons, and I just remember when he was picked. That's the question of the day. In 1989, which pick was Deion Sanders selected at? That's the question of the day. Take a moment to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day right here on YouTube. Mike, question of the day. In the 1989 draft, which overall pick was Deion Sanders selected at? 1 sec. I just want to say real quick, have a good day, Jen. Jen has to take off on the board.
I'm going to go with third overall.
Third overall, Deion Sanders, position that he was picked in the 1989 draft out of Florida State. Also wore number 2. Mike is saying third overall in that draft. Question of the day. In 1989, the NFL draft, which pick was Deion Sanders selected at by the Atlanta Falcons out of Florida State before he was prime time?
Prime time.
Mike says third overall. Thank you to Jen on the board. I see Shador. Let me just grab Tortilla's comment. Sullivan probably said we should draft Shador, and Rooney says you got to go, bro.
Not today, fam.
Mike, number 3 is what you're saying overall.
Yeah.
Question of the day. 1989 draft in the NFL. Which pick was Deion Sanders selected at? Tortilla saying 9 overall. Mike says third overall. Deion Sanders was, in fact, drafted at the 5th overall spot in the 1989 draft. So he did a little better than his son.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little. And he had a great career. He had a Hall of Fame career, too. So, hey,
Yeah.
You know what? At the end of the day, maybe Shador will have a great career, Maybe if he could be able to overcome this.
Yeah.
And maybe just at little spurts, get back to, the mental and get confident and get back out on the field and do what it is that you do. He may not, his dad, again, is Deion Sanders. That doesn't mean he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but, he's got the genes, guys. So I wouldn't doubt him, like one day, maybe, just one day, maybe being a decent quarterback in the NFL. And you know what? If the athletic quarterbacks, the way that position keeps evolving over time, Shador might just be in that right spot when it happens. And, some things happen for a reason. Maybe Shador will be great. His dad did. So
His dad was. I think Shador's going to be a solid backup quarterback, borderline starter in the NFL. Just because of his accuracy. He's a very accurate quarterback, and they can stick around.
See, the thing is, it makes me feel that he has the physical pieces. He just has to work on the mental. And unless he's an idiot, he should be able to do that. And like I said, who knows? You never know. Maybe his contract in Cleveland runs out in 4 years, and he goes somewhere and he ends out bringing it together. So you never know what you're going to get. But nonetheless, the beginning was a lot of fun. I got to say, I enjoyed it thoroughly and have been entertained by everything that's gone on with Shador Sanders. He's not here. Derpy didn't hang himself. We did get a quarterback to his liking with Ohio State's quarterback, Will Howard. So it seems like things are all good in Pittsburgh. Mike, this poll is telling me that there's still 12% of the people out there who feel dissatisfied with the draft, which you know what, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. So 62 again said there was an A, 19 say it was a B, 6% says it was a C, 12% say it was a D or an F. At the end of the day, Mike, I got to give this. I'm going to give it an A. It's an A. And the reason that it's an A is because it was what it was. It was a good filler draft. You got
Yeah.
everything that you needed. You didn't get that one player that really stands high and tall above everybody else. But you know what? You did get DK Metcalf in the process with a bunch of people that fills out depth. This, in my opinion, at the end of the day, compared to what I wanted, this, I can admit, Mike, was a good draft. It's solid. It's going to help this football team move forward. And let's, like I said, we're on the clock for the 2026 draft. Let's maybe get our next Big Ben in Pittsburgh next year.
Yeah, and I think that's their plan. And like I've been saying, man, they're just building out that roster. You know, your first two picks going to see a lot of playing time this year. Harmon's going to see a lot of playing time. Caleb Johnson's going to see a lot of playing time. Nice little backup in Will Howard, or a nice backup in Jack Sawyer. Sawyer can potentially become a key rotational piece on that defense. You know, TJ Watt's not getting any younger. He can be used to, when TJ needs a break, he can go in there and play a series or two to let TJ be stronger for the second half of the game. Or like, hey, TJ, you want to hold out? That's fine, buddy. We'll roll with this guy. Bye. Yeah. That's maybe part of their reasoning too, is like not the uncertainty with TJ Watt's contract. Start drafting someone who can be a potential replacement. I like that move there. And then you get some special teams guys. I like it. I like a couple of the free agents that they got. Sebastian Castro, he was mocked anywhere between 6th, 7th round for people. I like that pick because, like Tortilla said, Watts had to retire due to the neck injury. They had high hopes for him last year. So good pick there. And the offensive lineman they got from Minnesota Duluth, his athletic testing is like similar to Mason McCormick. So maybe he can become a guy that can eventually be a key contributor on that offensive line. So nice draft. And like Omar Khan said, a lot of these guys have Steeler DNA of we're here to work, we're here to kick ass. And like Ryan said, man, the past couple of years, ever since Omar Khan and Weedle took over, it's to get back to those no-nonsense guys that are just here to play football. We love when AB and Bell were doing crazy shit, kicking ass on the field. But when the craziness off the field started to overshadow it, that's when the team started to go downhill. You get the guys in that are back to that typical no nonsense, let's go out there and whoop some ass type football. Team seems to be heading in the right direction.
All sounds good to me, brother.
It all sounds good, but can they pull it off?
Yeah, now they got to put it all together and pull it off. So we'll see. And if they can do that, we'll continue. As I said, Mike, free agency, the draft, free agency, a lot of things going on. Some people expecting Aaron Rodgers to show up in Pittsburgh this week. Mike, to maybe make some magic happen. Again, speculation, rumors, everything is everywhere. Who knows what's going to happen, but we will certainly be right here covering it all as it happens, Mike. But as we said, three of the big parts of the process are behind us now. We are just we're going into May. Camp's gonna mini camp, and all this is gonna be in summer, July. So guys, we're only just a couple months away. We made it this long. We made it this far. The Steelers lost in early January to the playoffs. Here we are going into the 5th month of the year. We're gonna survive, guys. We made it this far. We've had a blast along the way. We're gonna continue to keep mauling through it all the way up until the season starts, guys. So we hope that everybody continues to continue to hang out with us. Mike, as I do start to get ready to wrap things up, I do want to say ain't much going on tonight as far as Pittsburgh sports. Maybe it's just a time that we all just kind of let it relax a little bit. The draft, a lot of energy, a lot of stress. The Pirates are off. All of our other teams off to the weekend, Mike, here in Pittsburgh. So maybe I'll just click over to some WWE tonight. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is the first day that we can finally relax and say, you know what? The draft is over. All the craziness for right now is done. We don't know what's going to happen moving forward with AR, with Aaron Rodgers. We'll certainly keep an eye on that, Mike. But also this, guys, I don't want to forget this as well. Don't forget Friday nights, the two cranky Jagoffs are no longer the two cranky Jagoffs. They, Mike, are the three gooners. The three gooners is what they call themselves now. So if you're going to check them out, then you pull up the three gooners. It wasn't an accident.
Oh, those three.
Check out the three gooners. They changed their name Friday night. Mike, again, not much else is going on, but we will be back tomorrow. First thing, to start all over again and get ready, Mike, and figure out what the hell we are going to do at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at some of these rookies more in depth in their strengths and weaknesses tomorrow, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. So we do hope that you do tune back in tomorrow and come hang out with us. I want to say this, though. Thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show, and everybody at home or the gym or the car or wherever you may be listening to the show on this fine Monday morning. We want to thank you as well. Mike, anything before we get ready to wrap it up for today?
2026 mock drafts have already started.
There you go.
Yeah, I was just over on Twitter to see what was any late breaking news, and I saw at least 3 mock drafts with the Steelers drafting it around 14th, drafting a quarterback in every single one.
Jeez,
it's nuts, man. I love it. These people are degenerates, and I'm here for it.
Corey Beaver says he picked the 5th, and yes, Corey, the 5th where Dion was drafted in 1989, and then he's saying he'll be a backup in Pittsburgh in 3 years. You know what? If things keep going the way they're going, he just might be. I hope we're wrong, but you know what? The way things are going, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. Joe saying Monday Night Raw. That's right, baby. I think I'm going to tune into some Raw tonight, Mike. I go into the radio station to work for a little bit this evening, and then I'll come home and watch wrestling, and that's going to be my Monday. I'm just going to take it easy, regroup, and get ready to, as I said, start over, Mike. The draft is done. It's behind us. The countdown to Pittsburgh is on. The countdown to the Steelers season is on, and we'll be back tomorrow. First thing to cover all that stuff. I also want to say, I don't know if I did say when Mike was talking about the website, go check it out, guys, www.the2dumyangels.com. It's www.the2dumyangels.com. Mike does a lot of work keeping it up to date over there, so go check out the website. Also, while you're here, don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. It would help us out greatly. We appreciate it. The final grades, Mike, on the draft poll, 62% say it was an A, 18% say it was a B, 6% say it was a C, 12% say it was a D or F. Of course, I'm talking about the draft this weekend. I'm going to go with an A, Mike. When it's said and done, looking in hindsight, this was an A draft. They got what we needed. We'll work on getting our quarterback.
Yep.
Not much to complain about, but maybe as they dig deep more into it, we'll find more things to complain about. But as I said, we will continue to learn more about these 7 gentlemen that we were drafted, in the 7 gentlemen that we signed after the draft. So about 14 new guys we'll continue to learn more about and talk about as the week goes on. Mike, anything before we get ready to wrap it up for the day, brother?
No. The draft, my God, it came and went quick, took forever to get here, but my God, it was fun. Like Ryan said, I like what we did. And, we'll find out here soon enough, man. Rookie camp will start, OTAs will start, and then before we know it, man, they'll be hitting each other up at Latrobe. I can't wait, man.
And you know what? Preseason, Mike's a lot of fun, too, because once those games start, you're seeing a lot of these guys that were drafted, and that's really fun. New guys that we just brought over is going to be a lot of fun to watch them as well. So that preseason, Mike, as it keeps getting shorter and shorter, you still get to learn a lot about these young men.
Big time, too. And just remember, if they struggle – Jamar Chase couldn't catch a single pass in training camp. And right now, he might be the best receiver in the NFL. So give it time, folks. Give it time.
All right. Well, hey, we hope you as well, Tortilla. You have a great Monday as well. I think Derpy will be back tomorrow. Tune in, see what his take is on the draft. We know how it started, but it got a little better for him as we started drafting guys from Columbus, Ohio. Some football players from that area of that region of the country. So we'll have that and a lot more tomorrow. So we do hope you join us tomorrow at our regular time, right here on YouTube. Mike, speak now or forever hold your peace, man. Anything?
I got nothing. Thank you for everyone tuning in. Thank you for everyone who tuned in on the live watch on the draft day 1. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Yeah,
you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. We will see everybody first thing tomorrow. For Mike and his autistic, whatever that is going on. Jeez, oh man, I just stare at this every day.
I love it.
Myself, the 2 Dumb Yinzers. Have a great Monday, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Steel boots stomping, crashing the floor. Two wild yinzers kicking through the door. Loud like a jag-off at a pins game fight. Brace yourself, this ride ain't polite. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. Tales from the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two dumb yinzers, loud and proud. Heads in the clouds, voices in the crowd. Chaos brewing, they don't play nice. Hold on to your iron and grab your prime anti-slice. From the burg with a hint of mayhem. Pierogi powered, nothing can constrain them. Knocking back stories like an icy cold brew. You never know what these two might spew. Two